Now let's set up the environment so that we can start implementing with this technology. So for downloading this Bootstrap, we will go to the official website of Bootstrap, from where we will download the package, and once we are ready with those particular things, what we are going to get is the scaffolding. Scaffolding means we will get a number of folders differently for the CSS, for the JS in the different folders, so that we can actually pick up the particular concept. Like it will not be hard to find whatever we are getting from the package, because it will be scaffolded in a particular, it will be structured on the particular folders. CSS is basically the set of all the classes which we can apply in the different parts of our web page, such as the header, the table, div, or maybe any other tag. Components, like if you want to work with any, let's say, glyph icons, all right, you want to create a button in which you want to put an icon. So these are all the part of components which you will get from the package. And the JavaScript plugins. JavaScript plugins will basically help us in making the rapid application development. All right, like plugins will give us some predefined functionality for which we don't have to make much efforts. So let's start working on the environment setup now. So to get started with the environment setup of Bootstrap, first of all, I'll have to come on the official website of Bootstrap, that is getbootstrap.com. And here in the home page, you will find a link for downloading. As soon as I'll follow this, here I'll get a number of options to download and to set the environment for Bootstrap. First option is to download the compiled CSS and JS file. So when you will download that, you will get the compiled code for this particular version of Bootstrap. Similarly, you can also download the core source file of the Bootstrap, that is the uncompiled version of Bootstrap, for which you will have to compile the Bootstrap as per your own requirement. Now next one is the Bootstrap CDN, where you will get the link of the required CSS and JS file, which you can copy and can start working on Bootstrap. Similarly, you have the package managers. Maybe if you are working with Node.js, then you have npm. For Ruby gems, for Composer, for Bower, for NuGet, you have the different kind of the environment available for which you can just configure and download your Bootstrap. Here I'll start working with the compiled CSS and JS file. So I'll click here on the download, and as soon as I'll do that, it will start downloading Bootstrap on my local system. I have downloaded the required files in my system. In the next video, we'll see how can we get started with the implementation of Bootstrap. So now here in this implementation, what we are going to do, we are going to design a form. So basically here you can see I put a form tag, and inside for each particular row, for each particular section of your form, like for any particular field, I have put the div, and inside that I have said form group. That means a label or any input control which you are taking will be bound logically in a single group. So whenever you will apply some changes in this div, that will be applicable for all the controls inside this form group. So for email, I have a group. For password, again I have formed a group out here. All right. So logically, whatever controls are doing the similar task, I will enclose them or I will bind them inside a group for the easy maintenance. Now inside this, you can see every time I'm putting something, I have using it as a form control, and so that's why whatever control I will put here, like email, for password, it will be designed for this particular form itself. And here it's placeholder which was there in the HTML as well, so it will basically show you a text on the controls. So let's save it for now and execute this over the browser. And here you can see this is the default appearance of your form. So this is basically the vertical form which will come by default. Enter email, enter password, alright, and any particular password what you want here. Alright, so this is how you can design the default vertical form. Now let's come here and
pass one class out here called class is equal to form inline. So basically this will generate the inline form, as probably for now Facebook has an inline form for the login on the top. So similarly you can also design something like that in the same pattern. So here you can see all the controls are now there on the same line. So this is how you can start working with the forms, where you can design a form either vertically or inline.
In this video, we'll work with the badges. Badges will actually give you an additional information along with the label. For example, if you have created a label with the name inbox, with the title inbox over it, you may want to show like how many unread mails are there, as you have got that in your real life as well. Alright, like inbox 30 means there are 30 new unread mails. So for showing such informations over the label, you can use badges out there along with the span tag. So let's see how to start working with the badges now.
So now in this execution of badges, what I have done is I have taken the two different examples with the same information. Here on the top in the first UL, what I have done, I have used a navigation, as we have already covered in the navigation tools. There is called navigation pills. So we have used that one in order to create something called like a bar. Alright, not exactly, but yes, something like. So inside this you can see there are three list items. One is for message, one is for the profile, and one is for the home. So if I want to put one badge as well along with these hyperlinks or list items, what I'll do is here right after this I will use a span, and inside this span I will use this badge information. As here you can see, here I have used class badge. So this span will be looking like a badge, and here I have given a fixed number, hard-coded value 42. Using jQuery and Ajax, you can actually work with the numbers, with these numbers dynamically as well. So what I have done, this is the list item active, so you will find it selected. After that there is home, and after home I want this 42, this number, to be displayed as a badge. So here right after this home I put this span, and then I put the class badge, so that it will make it look like a badge itself. Now no badge for this profile, but when again I'll come for messages, I will use this 3. Alright, so basically what it will do, it will show the span with the number 3 as a badge. So here you will find all these three elements horizontally. Now if you want to make them all vertical, here I will not use any navigation pills, rather I will use it on this tagged format. Alright, so basically what I have done here, it's the same thing. First I want home, then profile, and then message with the same number 42 and 3. But something is bit different. Along with this span, when I'm using the class badge, I said pull right. So you can actually observe here like home is written after 42. But since I am pulling this 42 on the right hand side as a badge, so the output will be like home, then after that you will find 42, that is on the right hand side of this home. Very similarly here as well I have used pull right, so after messages you will get number 3 on the right hand side. So let's execute and see how this output is looking like. So here you can see 42 for home, 3 for message. Since it was active, it is highlighted blue. Similarly here we make it stacked, but again it is pulled right. Alright, so basically when I'm taking it as a stack, I want it on the extreme right, not just adjacent. So that's why I marked a class pull right. So here on home as well as on the message you will get that badge on the right hand side. So this is how you can start using a span tag and pass the class badge, and you can use that as a badge with your links and menus.
In this video of Bootstrap, we'll discuss about the alerts. Here we are going to cover all the classes which Bootstrap provides for the alert, and basically alert is something which we use to give some messages to the end user. You can use it for getting the feedbacks as well. If you want, you can put a close icon using the helper class which we have already discussed while working with the helper classes, and that will be used for closing the alert box. So let's see what is all there in the different classes of alerts provided by Bootstrap itself.
So for showing the implementation of alert messages here, I will start with a very basic example where I have taken few divs, and after that I have used some classes. Like first of all, I will use this alert class so that these divs will come to know that they are being used as the alert. And as we have already discussed about these contextual colors, contextual settings which we can do using the success, info, warning and danger, such kind of words. So they are just here to give the different colors to the alert messages as they were doing it for the different things like buttons, labels and normal text as well. So these are the alerts, alright. So far I am not using any event on which they will appear, so that's why they are looking like a paragraph or label something, but actually they can be treated as the alert box. But whenever we use some alert messages, I have something to close that as well. So let's see how can we add a cross, means a close icon in this alert box which will help us in closing these messages. And for that I will do some changes out here. Let's see what I have done. So alert success, that was already there, but what I have done now, it is alert dismissible. Alright, so basically what is there? After that I am putting it inside a button, right? One button is also there inside this div tags, alright, and this button is carrying close, which we have already discussed, the close icon. Alright, so this button will carry a close icon on which when you will click, this alert will be closed. Alright, so that's why it's data dismiss alert. And I have done this same thing for all the different color of alerts. Alright, like for info alert box as well, for the warning as well, and later for the error one, danger as well. Alright, so in all the alert boxes there is some button at the end which will be used for closing the button. So let's see how it will is working now. So here is the button. Alright, so when I'll click over it, you can see the current message or current alert box is getting closed. Alright, so here you can see again. Alright, so this is about the alert boxes. Now if you want, you can also give a link to the alert boxes and you can use it for navigation purpose as well. And for doing that I have just did one thing, like I have enclosed these text inside the anchor tag. Alright, and for decoration I have used the class alert link. So let's click here and see the output. And here you can see these are now the alert links. I have removed the button, but if required you can close it, and if required you can just click on the text to navigate. So these are the things which we can use for making the alert boxes using Bootstrap.
In this video we are going to discuss another CSS class provided by Bootstrap, and that is breadcrumb. Basically, whenever you want to show the hierarchical position of any particular web page, you can go for this class. For example, if I am on a home page of any particular website, out there I followed a link called sports. Inside that I went to sports and then for cricket. Alright, so basically whatever the path we followed shows the hierarchy of a page, like from home to sports, from sports to cricket. Alright, so when you will reach that particular page, it will show the particular path which you have followed, and if you want you can just click them back to go to the higher level in the same hierarchy. So let's see how to implement breadcrumb in your website.
So for implementing the breadcrumb, I will use first of all the list, maybe the ordered or unordered list. Here I have used the ordered list in this example, and I have implemented a class breadcrumb. As soon as I will do that, Inside that, whenever I will put any list item, it will be shown in an hierarchical manner. Like for example, from home you have navigated to page sports, and from sports you came for cricket. So in case you want to make something active, you can use class active. Alright, so in this example, this cricket link will be shown as the selected one. So let's execute and see how this output is looking like. So as expected, home, sports and cricket. Alright, so you will not find any hyperlink means pointed finger right here, but you can do that with sports and home. So anywhere when you want to put some hierarchical representation in your web page, you can anytime use these breadcrumb, and if you will put some links on sports or home or maybe any other, you can use these breadcrumbs to go back to the roots from the branches. So this is all about the breadcrumb class in your Bootstrap.
Now in this video, we are going to use buttons in a much different way. As we have already seen how to create a drop down using a button, how to use a single button. But now here we will work with the button groups. Basically, if you will put number of buttons at a group, it will give you a feeling of menu, right? So if you want to create a menu in your web page, you can actually go for this button groups, and you can set different actions for the different buttons in the group. So let's start working with the implementation of button groups.
So as we have already discussed about the buttons, here you can see I have added 3 buttons, and the appearance will be like default, means the whitish buttons will be there. You can use it as per your requirement. And here I have taken a div inside which I have put all these 3 buttons, and the class which I am using with the div is btn group. So basically this btn group will group all these 3 buttons all together, and they will be like physically attached side by side. So let's see how this output is looking like. So here you can observe like there are 3 buttons and they are just connected to each other because they are bound into a group. Alright, so now you can use some other classes as well in order to customize the output. Like we can just use multiple btn groups inside a btn toolbar. So if you want to make a toolbar for your web page, you can just group multiple btn groups containing the buttons, and then you can form a toolbar. So here you can see here are 3 btn groups, like there is 1 button, 2 button group and 3rd button group. Alright, and I have just put them all inside one div where I am using a class btn toolbar. So when I will do that, in the output it would be looking like this. Alright, so this is the set of first buttons, this is the set of second button group, and this is the 3rd button group. So likewise you can just start working on your buttons, like you can bound them in a button group, and then you can bind multiple button groups inside button toolbar. If required, you can also just change the size of each button group using the same btn group lg, sm and xs. Alright, so let's execute and see how these different button groups are looking like. So this one is the large, this one is small, and this is extra small. So as per your window size for the different screen size, you can just make a responsive menu for using these buttons, and you can just apply the different button sizes as per the screen size. You can also put one button group inside another in case if you want to give some other appearance to your button. Like here what I am doing is there is btn group, alright, inside which I have put 2 buttons. Now again inside this btn group I have taken another where I am trying to make a button as a drop down list, which we have done already. Alright, so in this way what it will be looking like, it will be the nested btn group inside which the first 2 are from one group, and again this is separated by another btn group, but they all are being shown or displayed as a single group itself. Now all the appearances which I have shown right now is horizontal. Now let's see how can we make them vertical. So for that I just have to add one more class over here, and I'll say BTN group vertical. I'll say that in both these situations, alright, in both the places. So let's execute it again. And here you can see now they are being arranged in a vertical way. So far when we were forming a drop down out of a button, we were actually putting the caret symbol in the same button. But if required, you can also make a group of two buttons in order to make the caret symbol on the another button. So here as you can see, in the first button I have just made it primary and put a text, and right after that I have put another button where I am using it for toggling, and I have applied a span with the class caret. When you will click over that, I will just form the menu in which I have currently shown two different elements. Alright, so here in the button you will get a text. When you will click on the caret symbol on the another button, it will show you a list containing these two elements. So let's see how it is looking like. Alright, so here you can see this is the button with the text, and here when you will click over this, it will show you the menu. Alright, so these are all the different usages of the BTN group class, and you can use it for various purposes while defining a web page.
In this video of Bootstrap, we are going to work with buttons. Basically, whenever you create a form and you want to submit it, or if you want to perform any action, buttons are the very important control for that. So here, when we will start working with the CSS classes provided for buttons, we are going to get few classes like BTN. BTN is the base class for any button control. BTN primary, if you want to put means by default all these classes will give different colors to the button, like dark blue, information, warning, orange, red for danger. Alright, so basically the difference will be of color, except BTN link, which will look like a hyperlink text, not a button. Alright, so on the basis of color, like if you want to use red button for a normal task, you can go for BTN danger class. Alright, but by default, as I said, these classes will give you only difference in the color as per the designing is concerned. So let's see how to implement buttons in Bootstrap CSS classes.
So on the basis of the appearance of the buttons, let's start customizing the appearance. So as we did in the text, like we classified the different text colors on the basis of the primary, success, info, warning, danger. Similarly, here in the case of buttons also, we have the same things. So first of all, we will have to start with the class BTN. So if you are not even using a button, if you are using any hyperlink also, you can make the look of that hyperlink as a button. And once it is set as button, you can just set like how you want your button to be displayed. So as I said, it's just the matter of color. It will change the default color of the particular button. So when I execute this, here you can see it is the default button. This one is primary button, success button, info button, warning button, danger button, and here since it is a button also, but it is looking like a hyperlink. Alright, so these are the different classes which you can use for customizing the appearances of the button. Now let's discuss more about the size of each buttons that we have. So for changing the size, what I'll do, I will just add few more classes right after, like BTN LG for making your button larger than the normal one. Similarly, BTN LG again for the primary. So these two buttons, the first two buttons will be much bigger than the default size. Similarly, the next two buttons, that is for success and info, they will be smaller in size, as here I have used BTN SM. So it will be smaller than the default size of the button. And similarly, right after that, what I have used a class BTN block for the warning button. So btn block means it will contain the complete width of the window. If you will put that inside any td or tr, so whatever the available length is there, it will occupy the complete width of the current window. And nothing, no changes for the last two, that is for danger and link. So they will appear in the default size, so you can compare them with the others. So as here you can see, these are the larger buttons, these are the smaller buttons, and these are the normal size button, and here in between this warning button is the block. Alright, in case if you want to disable any, you can do that as well. So for doing that, what you can do, let me disable this warning button. So I will just add one more class, that is disabled. So when I'll do, you see now it is changed and now it will be disabled. If you will do any operation on this click, nothing will take place. Apart from that, you can also disable a button by using the attribute called disabled is equal to disabled. So when I'll save it, I'll come here and refresh, you see it will also disable the danger button. So this is how you can start working with the buttons in the Bootstrap. As I said that if you will take any anchor tag as well, let me use it once. So like href is equal to like for the current page, alright, and here I will use a class btn space btn primary. Alright, and this is hyperlink. So let's come here and refresh. So here you can see this is an hyperlink but looking like a button, since I have decorated that with this btn class. Apart from that, I have used btn primary, so it is looking like a primary button as we have seen earlier. So these are the things which you can use from Bootstrap to decorate your page with different kind of buttons.
Now let's discuss about list groups in Bootstrap. Basically in HTML we do have the ordered and unordered list to show the content in a list, but if you want to show the list for some customized or maybe complex types, you can go for the list groups in Bootstrap. So let's see what all classes are available here and how we can use them for making a list for the complex objects. So let's start working on list groups.
So here in this example, when I'm starting working with this list group, I have taken an unordered list in which I have put a class called list group. It will contain the multiple list items with the class list group item. So I started with the plain text thing itself. So let's see how this list is currently looking like. Alright, so here you can see there are few elements which are being decorated like this with the help of this list group class. Now if you want, you can also add the badges, as I have already covered badges, which is like a small span tag after a content. So here that is what I have done. Like the new is the badge, alright, so there's 24/7, there is the new badge out there. Similarly, discount offer, again I will put a badge new. So as soon as I will add the badges, it will change a look to a bit. Like here you can see there are a couple of badges added with the new badge, alright. Now inside this, if you want to show that any of the item of this list is selected, then you can add the active class. As here you can see, I have used the active class out here. So what it will do, when you will refresh this, it will be look like it is being selected. We have already worked with this active class several times in this tutorial. So very similarly, you can also start working here in order you want to show any selected element of the list. Now rather than keeping the plain text, you can also give some customized list items out here. Now here I'm trying to put some customized elements in the list. For that, what I have done is I'll start with the list group itself. As I have done, you can observe I am not using the unordered list and list item tags out here. Rather, I am using the divs so that I can put the customized element as well. So this one is the list group, inside which I will put some hyperlinks with the class called list group items, which I was doing for list items earlier. So now each group item here is containing the header, that is h4 heading tag, and the first one is selected. Now after that I am putting two more things, but you can see I am not using the class active, they are just list group items, but again I am having the h4 tag inside both, but these headings are followed by a small text as well. So basically when I will see that in the browser, I will get something like this. So this one is the h4 with the active class, this one is the h4 without the active one, and followed by the paragraph. And similarly I have done this for the second div as well. So this is what I have done for my couple of things. For customizing elements in the list group, I will use div rather than the unordered list, as I have said. And similarly I am doing it for the second time, where I am keeping a content like business website package. So here you can see business website package followed by the similar things. So this is how you can start working with the list items in your Bootstrap, either with the unordered or ordered list tags or with the divs.
In this video of Bootstrap, we'll start working with the labels. Basically, whenever you want to show some information out there in the web page, so you can go for label, and here Bootstrap will give you a label class for setting a label over your web page. Like we were getting the different classes for the different appearances in button, here also you will get the similar things, like you will get the classes like for information, warning, default, and some others. So let's see what is all here for the label class in Bootstrap.
So when I say label, basically we don't have a label tag here in HTML, but using the class label of Bootstrap, we can make any span as a label. After that, you can see there is one more class called label default. That simply means, like as we have already done with the buttons, with the text, where we find the different contextual colors for the different purpose. Here I am using label default. Now the purpose of this particular example is, like when you will see there is a h1 tag and after that we are putting a label. So basically when you use any paragraph tag or something, it takes a complete width of the page, but when you use span along with the label, it will just take the width of the character, and the size of this particular text will be similar to that of h1 or h2 or h3, doesn't matter which particular tag it is getting used. So when I'll execute, you will find that example heading, and right after that you will find there is a label, and as I said, it will just occupy the same amount of area where the text is located, and the size is according to the headings. So apart from the label default, you can use some other colors as well, as we have already done with the buttons, like label default, primary, success, info, warning, and danger. So we know, like we will get some bluish color, some orange color, some danger color for red. So here are the different examples, different colors which are available. So here in this previous example, we only use default. So this is the default label color, and rest are here. So accordingly, as per your requirement, you can choose your class and can start working on it.
So let's see what is all here in the Bootstrap grid system. Bootstrap includes a responsive mobile first fluid grid system. As I said, like this all responsive web design is possible because of this grid system itself. Bootstrap grid system scales up to 12 columns, alright, as the device and viewport size increases. So it all depends on how you want these 12 columns to use. If you are using more than 12 columns, means if the total columns you have consumed is more than 12, then the remaining data will be fallen into the next line. We'll see that all in the practical implementation. These 12 columns can be used accordingly on the basis of different screen sizes. Alright, as I said, like it all depends like how you want to consume your 12 columns. So let's see how these 12 columns can be managed, or how we can check like which is your large screen and small screen. So basically it is all depending on the number of pixels that you can check while working on any screen. I'll show you that on the practical implementation itself, since I'm working in a laptop of maybe a 14-inch screen. So I cannot show you the large devices because the pixel number will be way more. Yes, for the other things, if the number of pixels is less than 768, then it will be used maybe mobile device. All right, extra small devices means mobile device, maybe 5-inch, 5.5-inch mobile screen if you are working with. So it will be like that. Number of columns will be 12 for all screen sizes, as I said. All right, class prefix means when you will be splitting the those 12 columns, like how much columns you want in first means on for a particular column. All right, class prefix. These class prefix means the CSS classes of Bootstrap will help you to split those 12 columns into different numbers. So let's start working with this grid system practically and see how a same page can have a different layouts for the different screen sizes.
So before getting started with the grid system, let me tell you the changes which I have made. I have added one more style sheet which I have created by myself here, that is styles.css, where I just put some attributes for customizing any div tag. Alright, so now let's get started with that. So basically while working here, what I'll do, I'll just start putting a div tag here. And what I'll do inside, I'll just make it nested. Alright, so this is div inside a div. So this is, let's say, first div. And similarly, let's copy them 2 more times. And let's make changes in the text. Alright, now in order to start working with the grid system, what I'll do, on the outer div section, I will pass a class name with the name call -lg hyphen. As we know, the total of all the things which we want to put on a same line should be 12. So let's say here for the first one, I put 2 as a column. Similarly here, what I'll do, class call lg, let's say I want to put 8 columns out here. And again for the third one, I will say class call lg 2. So 2 plus 8 plus 2, the total is 12. Alright, and here what I'll do, I'll again put a class so that it will give you a clear output. And here I'll use my box div which I defined by myself. So let's copy that and paste it here in the remaining 2 as well. Save it, and now let's execute it. Alright, so here you can see. So what I'll have to do now to start working with this, I will put one more div and will use a class called row, so that all these divs will be there on a same row. Alright, so let's close this div at the end. Alright, and now let's refresh this, and now here you can see the first div, second div and third div. Total it is 12, and it is very properly occupying the complete width. So for here I have just defined the width for the large, so as soon as you will move out from the large size, it will show its default way to put the divs. Alright, if you want to make different styles for the different screen sizes, you will all have to define right here as well. So for example, let's take one more div out here, and here I'll say fourth div. Alright, now let's change the width size here. So for the first, I'll say it should be 3. For second, it should be 3 again. For the third one and fourth one. Alright, let's come here and refresh. Now you can see there are 4 div in the same line. Alright, now what is happening here, if I'll move from the large screen and I'm coming for the middle size what I want at that particular time. So for that, what I'll do, I'll just give a space and start giving another style here in the same line, call that is the medium devices, and for the first one I want 6 columns to be occupied. Alright, so the first column, the first div will occupy 6 columns out of 12. Second will also take 6 columns. Okay, let me copy that because I'm going to put the same for the remaining 2. So now you can see the total is exceeding 12. The 1 and 2, the total is 12. So what will happen, as soon as the things will come out from the large screen aspect, in the medium size screen at a single row there will be 2 divs. Alright, and then the next 2 divs will be shifted in the other rows. So let's refresh that and let's start changing the screen sizes. So as soon as the size will be, the width of the window will be under the range of small devices, medium devices, you can find that there is first div, second div, third div and fourth div. Alright, so because now both of these particular divs are taking 6 columns each out of 12 from that.